Oh, say,
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous tide, for the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets were glad of bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night, and the flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner wave, for the land was free, and the home of the
okay. Super New York. Masons on one side, Saints on the other. Okay. You ready for our lines?
Wesley, are you on this side? Wait, Wesley, are you on that side? Are you on that side?
Evan, Shaylin, Braden, Brentley, Brody, Bo, William,
Now can you hear me better? Okay. On the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, the fighting of World War I ended in 1918. Due to the conclusion of the war to end all wars, November 11th became a universally recognized day of celebration. The day was originally declared Armistice Day 8 years after the end of World War I and honored only veterans of that war. Then in 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, it was renamed Veterans Day to honor all veterans who served America in war and defended democracy. So today we honor all of our veterans who unselfishly placed their lives on the line for our freedom. Those men and women were ordinary people until they heard the call of duty and answered it. They left their families, their homes, and their lives, not for recognition or fame, or even the honor we bestow upon them today. They fought to protect our country, to maintain our way of life. As we honor our veterans and remember their great deeds, let us also salute those who are currently fighting for our freedom. The war on terrorism and current world conflicts help us all realize how truly unique the American way of life is. The freedom we enjoy is extremely special and fragile. That is why we must defend it. So, now is the time to not only honor those that have fought and are fighting for our freedom, it is also the time for each of us to reflect on how we take part in protecting it for the future generations. Thank you for honoring our veterans today. Let us walk toward tomorrow, always honoring them and never forgetting their sacrifices. We live in the freedom they have protected. We hope you enjoy our program. Sixth grade.
This year, the sixth grade created agomographs. An agomograph is a piece of art that shows different images based on the angle you are viewing it. These pieces of art can be made into 2 or 3 separate images. Please be sure to take time to look at the ones that the sixth grade made on that wall back there when we are done. I believe that the work these students made go to show that we sometimes need to change our perception to see a different picture. When it comes to war and those who are fighting for us, we cannot imagine what they see every day. We must shift our perspective and continue to honor those who have served and are serving. Along with the agomographs, each student made their own piece of writing. Please enjoy.
I know we just did it, but I think for all the things that veterans have done for us, I say we give them another round of applause, please. Okay, so I'm going to acrostic poem. V, values. Each veteran values protecting each other and their country. E, ensures. Each veteran ensures we keep our freedom. T, tears. Every veteran's family has shed a tear for them. E, encouraging. Each veteran encourages each other. R, respect. Each veteran should be respected. A, attitude. Veterans' attitude show loyalty to our country. N, never give up. Veterans never give up.
Thank you, veterans. Veterans are brave as a lion roaring. They help our country be as peaceful as clouds floating in the sky. They are wise as a parrot talking, And don't forget, fierce like a wildfire. They have valor like a mother bear with their cubs. Thank you so much, veterans, for all of the sacrifices for our country. Arvestal, thank you.
Brave, be brave. You showed your bravery every single day. R, respect. You are respected for all your sacrifices. A, alongside. You fought alongside your friends. V, veteran. You are appreciated for your service. E, everyone. You were greatly missed by everyone. Brave.
One thing veterans do for me is keep me safe. That way I can live in peace and won't be bothered by terrorists. We aren't being attacked day by day today, but over in Israel and Ukraine, they are being attacked. And that's in another part of the world that we can't imagine. We are over here just living our normal lives because we have veterans that protect us. We often take this for granted. Another reason we should thank veterans is because we are not controlled and do not have to be controlled. We have rights and freedoms that allow us to go places that most people in other parts of the world don't have. We are lucky to have such a strong nation and military that wants to serve and protect us. Veterans that served in past wars have seen some unimaginable sights. Against all these freedoms, without them, we would be in another world. We have to thank them for giving us all these rights and freedoms. Thank you, veterans, for fighting the fight.
For Veterans Day, I am doing an acrostic poem that spells out to the word of veterans. V, victorious. Veterans are victorious in wars and help to make our country how it is today. E, enforce. Veterans enforce the law and make sure we are safe. T, tribute. We celebrate we celebrate Veterans Day, show tribute to all the veterans that have served our country. E, effort. Veterans put in a lot of effort to protect us. R, remember. We all need to remember the veterans that gave their lives. A, appreciation. We all appreciate them for protecting our country. N, nation. Veterans protect our nation. S, sacrifice. Veterans sacrifice their lives protecting us and die as heroes. Thanks for listening, Alex.
We are free today. We are free because our veterans were so heroic and confident. We are free because veterans fought for our freedom. We are free because our veterans pay tribute to them. We are free because veterans are hopeful and caring. We are free because veterans saved another. Thank you for listening.
Famous veterans. Audie was born June 20th, 1925 in Kingston, Texas. Audie was an American soldier, even an actor. He won every military comeback award for valor from the United States Army. He also received French and Belgian award for heroism. Audie left school in 5th grade to help the family pick cotton and find other ways to support his family, like hunting to provide food for the family. When he was a teenager, Audie's father abandoned their family, and his mother passed away shortly after. After the Pearl Harbor attack in 1941, his older sister helped him falsify documentation about his birthday in order to meet the minimum age for enlisting in the military. Audie single-handedly held off the companion of German soldiers information from USDA.gov and Wikipedia. Thank you, veterans. By Rainer Zimmerman.
Veteran. V, valor, courage in battle. E, encouragement, encouraging others. T, trust, people trust veterans. E, excellent service, veterans protected our country. R, responsible, veterans have many responsibilities. A, act guard, veterans guarded the U.S. N, noble, veterans are noble and loyal to their country. By Charles Smith.
Thank you, fearless veterans. You are steady like a bird's wing. You are tireless like a hummingbird. You are as courageous as a badger, and you are as fearless as a dog, and you are as bold as a lone bald eagle. Thank you for serving our country by reflection.
Fifth grade.
Veterans Day is celebrated on November 11th each year.
On this day, we honor those who served our country both in times of war and peace.
A veteran is any man or woman that has served in the military.
There are 6 branches of the United States military. The branches are Army, Navy, Marine Corps, Air Force, Coast Guard, and Space Force.
Veterans are brave.
Veterans thank others. Veterans are our nation heroes.
Veterans Day was originally called Armistice Day.
It marked the end of World War I.
The fighting of World War I was over on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Veterans Day became a national holiday in 1938.
In 1954, Armistice Day was renamed Veterans Day by President Eisenhower.
Renaming Veterans Day allows us to honor those who have served. Today, Americans watch parades and place flags on veteran graves.
To honor veterans, our school celebrates with a Veterans Day program.
Veterans are our mothers and fathers.
Ditto and aunts and uncles. They are our grandparents and extended family.
They are our friends and neighbors.
Veterans are a part of our school community. Today and every day, our class appreciates those who made sacrifices for the United States. Thank you to all who have served in the past. Thank you to all who are serving now and in the future.
Standing up, Levi? I can't stand up.
Thank you for your services. You are so brave and protective. Thank you for saving this country. You are so kind. From Alex.
Dear veterans, thank you for making us brave. Thank you for protecting our country. You are so brave in the military. You are so brave. From Annalie.
Dear veterans, thank you for saving our lives. Thank you for serving for our country. You are brave. From Brent. Dear veterans, thank you for protecting our country. You are brave and kind. Thank you for protecting everyone in our country. From Hayes.
Dear veterans, thank you for helping our country. Thank you for saving our country. I bet you are good. You are good at protecting our country. From yours. Dear veterans, you are very brave to serve in the military. Thank you for our freedom very much. You protected us very well. The United States would fall if it was not for you. You are kind to serve in the military. Which one of the branches did you serve? Thank you for serving. Thank you for serving, protecting, being brave, and being kind. From Toll. Classes each chose a word that describes a veteran. Here is what he wrote. A word that best represents a veteran to me is loyal. Veterans are loyal to the United States of America. Veterans are very loyal to the people they help. Soldiers sacrifice their lives for our country. All soldiers are very loyal to everyone. Thank you, veterans, for being loyal. A word that best represents a veteran to me is strong. One thing a veteran does is when a person gets hurt, they find a way to help them. Another way is they are strong in their head to fight in the army.
Veterans never give up doing their jobs and they keep fighting. Thank you, veterans, for being strong.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is service. One of the ways a veteran has to serve is when they risk their lives for our country. The veterans don't just serve the United States of America. They serve when a veteran serves, they work in the military for many years. Some veterans don't fight, but they still serve the military and help in many different ways. Thank you, veterans, for serving.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is courageous. Courageous veterans are strong, fearless, and very heroic. A veteran that's courageous also shows passion, personality, and positivity. Courageous veterans show courage every day in the military, especially during the battle. Being courageous means being brave and fearless, and not only that, but much more. Thank you, veterans, for being courageous.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is tough. One way a veteran is tough is when they go and protect our country. They are tough because they spend every day trying to fight for the USA, so we are safe. I think they're tough because they try to save the USA. A veteran is tough because they work hard. Thank you, veterans, for being tough.
What best represents a veteran to me is honorable. Veterans are honorable because they have protected us. Veterans are also honorable because they have been honest. They have given their lives for the people. Not all veterans go to war, but they are all honorable because they have all helped save us. Thank you, veterans, for being here.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is caring. A way a veteran is caring is when they try not to leave someone behind. Another way they are caring is they protect all military men and women. Veterans show caring for citizens of America when they join the military. Thank you, veterans, for being.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is selfless. A way a veteran is selfless is when they serve in the military. Another way they are selfless is when they go out to protect their country and state. Military nurses are selfless because they take care of veterans that are wounded and sick. They help others and not just themselves. They care for family, friends, and pets. Thank you, veterans, for being selfless.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is extraordinary. Veterans go on deployment and put their lives in front of the USA citizens. When the veterans are on deployment, they make great friendships and they trust each other. If the soldier gets hurt, they get up and keep going. Veterans leave their homes to protect the USA citizens. Thank you, veterans, for being extraordinary.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is battle scarred. A way a veteran is battle scarred is when they get injured, they will keep going. They go to war knowing they might get injured. They are in danger, but they will keep fighting. Thank you, veterans, for being battle scarred.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is long serving. Veterans cannot see their families for a long time, and sometimes they are far away. Veterans can't just quit. They can't go home for a long time. When veterans serve, they care for the United States. Thank you, veterans, for being awesome.
A word that best represents a veteran is dependable. A veteran is dependable when they go out to protect us. Another way they are dependable is that we can count on them to always be there for us and our neighboring country. Veterans also go through the toughest no matter how tough it is, so we don't have to. Finally, veterans take care of us all. Thank you, veterans, for being dependable.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is kind. A way a veteran is kind is when they protect others. Another way they are kind is by teaching children what they do in the military. They also respect others when they help their country and other countries. Thank you for being kind.
The word that best describes a veteran to me is patriotic. A veteran is patriotic because they serve their country. They get sent on deployment for extended periods of time. They sacrifice their safety for all of us. A veteran cares about their country because they put our needs above their own. Thank you, veterans, for being patriotic.
A word that best represents a veteran to me is committed. I think this because veterans dedicate their lives to save us. Soldiers will always get back up again. One thing they are committed is that veterans never give up. Soldiers always keep trying, even when it gets hard. Thank you, veterans, for being committed.
A piece the junior high and high school choir is singing is called Song for the Unsung Hero, with words and music by Pam and Joseph Martin. In the middle of this piece, there's a section for all y'all. Okay, that means when we point to you, we need your voices, and it is America or My Country 'Tis of Thee. So be ready for that. Yeah, it's actually towards the end, but you'll know when.
Hello, as most of you guys know, I'm Ross Martindale, and I was selected for 2024's Boys State. Boys State was a very good experience for me. Most people think, and as I thought, it was just a bunch of government procedures and you sit and listen all the time, which is definitely not the case. So to really explain how it works, there's 8 towns named after historical war. And I was on the top 4 from Bellawood. So each like town has their own dorm floor. And so on that floor, you have to make local laws and run for local offices. So you have to campaign for these, of course. But for these local offices, it was basically who was the coolest in the first 4 hours. And then I ran for the town board, and I got it. And one of my favorite ordinances was that we had to play our town anthem, which was freestyle by Little Baby, before every town meeting. And then you had to run for state office, which was a lot harder. There was people that tried really hard. These matter because you have to give speeches to every single town. So one day we went down all the floors and you basically campaigned. It was not very fun, but I campaigned for treasurer, and my slogan was an excerpt from the Little Uzi Vert song that goes, "In reality, I'm 5'4", Santa my money on 6'6", to prove I was good with money. Even though it was tough, you had a good chance that you could get everyone to laugh, and that was the only real thing you had to do with the government. You had to go to seminars every once in a while, which can be boring at times, but then you do have sport. So you get to pick a singular sport, and then you play in a bracket to determine a winner. I played basketball, and Bellawood got 3rd out of the 8 towns. And then you have what's called campaign hour, which is, if you didn't make the ballot like I did, go mess around with your friends. There wasn't very much to do during that campaign hour for me. But one thing about Boys State, I went to the UCLA Husker game, and I don't want to talk about how it went, but I saw 3 of my fellow Bellawood members. So I've met one going to the bathroom. Another one was running hot dogs in the stands. And the other one was just charging his phone at the bottom of the stairs and was homeless. But you meet a lot of people and you see them all the time, and it's very cool. And I recommend everyone can go if they can. It's a very fun experience. I also want to thank the American Legion for sending me, and I hope the next nominees will go. Feel free to conversate while I do this.
Hi guys. So my classmates and I put a Veterans Day senior slideshow together. So this is our slideshow by the senior class. So the origins of Veterans Day. Veterans Day used to be called called Armistice Day. In 1926, Congress made Armistice Day an annual observance. Then, in 1938, it became a federal holiday. Armistice Day honored World War I veterans and their sacrifices. The first organized celebration was in 1947 when Raymond Weeks, a World War II veteran, organized a Veteran Day in Birmingham, Alabama. In 1954, after World War II and the Korean War, President Eisenhower decided to change the name to Veterans Day. With this declaration, all veterans would be honored on November 11th. My classmates and I will now inform you on the wars our veterans have served in since. Okay, World War II, or D-Day. So, D-Day operation of June 6, 1944, brought together the land, air, and sea forces of the Allies in what became known as the largest amphibious invasion in military history. Given the codename Overlord, the operation delivered 5 naval assault divisions to the beaches of Normandy, France. The beaches were given the codenames Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juno, and Sword. The invasion force included 7,000 ships and landing craft manned by over 195,000 naval personnel from 8 allied countries. Almost 133,000 troops from the United States, the British Commonwealth, and their allies landed on D-Day. On June 6, 2024, we celebrated the 80th anniversary of D-Day. 191 U.S. World War II veterans were welcomed on stage at Normandy American Cemetery for the 80th anniversary of D-Day. A few hundred service members and other guests gathered near the famed 100-foot cliff, Point du Hoc, where one of the most daring and dangerous missions of World War II took place.
The beginning of the Forgotten War, also known as the Korean War. So, June 25th of 1950, North Korea, who was backed by the Soviet Union, invaded South Korea. The KPA, also known as the Korean People Army, was formed in February of 1948. The Korean soldiers that were invited by the Soviets in the CPLA were the Chinese People's Liberation Army. By the mid-1950s, they had 10 infantry units with 223,000 men. The KPA invaded South Korea, rapidly pushing them south. Korean and American troops were confined to the port of Busan, which is the largest port in South Korea. The United Nations was very quick to respond, as United Nations Commander General MacArthur had an amphibious landing at the port of Incheon, which is a port halfway up the Korean Peninsula. And the United Nations pushes the KPA clear to the Yalu River, which is the river that separates North Korea and China. In July of 1951, China had entered the war and pushed the UN back into the south. Fighting stalled and armistice negotiations began, but there was little success. They continued fighting over the next 2 years in the trenches. In July 27, 1953, the armistice was signed. The United States, the People's Republic of China, North Korea, and South Korea had the armistice that was signed at Panmunjom, signaling the end of the war. So the 38th parallel is where they decided where the border would be, the casualty. 3 million casualties was lost, or 3 million people died. 37,000 Americans lost their lives, 92,000 were wounded, and 8,000 went missing.
The Vietnam War and active U.S. involvement in the war began in 1954. After communist forces took power in the north, armed conflict between northern and southern armies continued. The subsequent treaty signed in July 1954 at the Geneva Conference split Vietnam along the latitude known as the 17th parallel. In 1955, however, the strongly anti-communist politician Ngo Diem pushed Emperor Bao aside to become president of the government of the Republic of Vietnam, often referred to during that era as South Vietnam. Colonel
Moore made the first major air mobile assault in the history of warfare. Flying into the IA Drain Valley, their mission is to locate and destroy any communist troops they find. The cavalrymen touched down at landing zone X-ray at the foot of the Chukong Siege in late morning. Unknown to the Americans, X-ray is located directly next to a base area for several North Vietnamese Army regiments, which open fire on the cavalrymen as soon as they begin to land. The battle that unfolds, LZ X-ray, is the first major clash between American and North Vietnamese troops. The Viet Cong often used a variety of guerrilla tactics against American forces, including hit-and-run maneuvers, surprise attacks, and soldiers disguised as civilians. With the Cold War intensifying worldwide, the United States hardened its policies against any allies of the Soviet Union. And by 1955, President Dwight D. Eisenhower had pledged his firm support to Diem in South Vietnam. Diem security forces cracked down on the Vietnamese sympathizers in the South, whom he personally called Viet Cong, or the Vietnamese communists. A team sent by President John F. Kennedy in 1961 to report on conditions in South Vietnam advised the buildup of American military. Working under the domino theory, which held that if one Southeast Asian country fell to communism, many other countries would follow, Kennedy increased U.S. aid. In August 1964, after DRV torpedo boats attacked two U.S. destroyers in the Gulf of Tonkin, Johnson ordered the bombing of military targets in North Vietnam. Congress soon passed the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which gave Johnson broad war-making powers, and U.S. planes began regular bombing raids. On January 31st, 1968, some 70,000 DRV forces under General Vo Win Jot launched the Tet Offensive, a coordinated series of fierce attacks on more than 100 cities and towns in South Vietnam.
The Gulf War. On August 2nd of 1990, Iraq invaded and annexed Kuwait. On August 5th, U.S. President George H.W. Bush gave his speech saying that we would not stand for the aggression in Kuwait and something would be done about it. In early October of 1990, U.S. military planners started to plan an offensive against Iraq. Secretary of Defense Dick Cheney started planning operations to defend Kuwait and Saudi Arabia if they planned to attack them. On November 29th, the UN Security Council issued Resolution 678 calling for all unnecessary means to force Iraq to withdraw out of Kuwait by January 15th of 1991. On January 12th, U.S. Congress passed a resolution authorizing the use of military force as the deadline closed in. On January 15th, the deadline passed without them leaving Kuwait. On January 17th in the morning, the U.S. and allies launched a campaign of air and missile attacks in Iraq and Kuwait. The campaign continued for several weeks, damaging Iraq's air defenses and military infrastructure. On January 18th, Iraq retaliated by firing missiles at Israel and Saudi Arabia. There were no deaths and only a few were wounded. In early February, the U.S. and allied forces focused their attacks on Iraq's ground forces in preparation for a ground assault. On the 24th, U.S. and allies began a ground offensive crossing into Iraq and Kuwait around 4 a.m. On the 25th, a missile force from Iraq destroyed a barracks used by U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. 28 Americans were killed and about 100 were wounded. On the 26th, Iraqi President Saddam Hussein announced that Iraq would withdraw from Kuwait immediately, but Iraq did not leave Kuwait right away. U.S. and allied forces bombed a convoy of retreating Iraqi troops, which killed hundreds. On February 27th, the U.S. and allied forces entered Kuwait City, and on the 28th, Iraq announced that it would accept all United Nations resolutions regarding the conflict. On March 3rd, Iraq has accepted the terms of a ceasefire agreement.
The War on Terror. On September 11, 2001, Al-Qaeda operatives hijacked 4 commercial airliners, crashing them into the World Trade Center in New York and the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. A 4th plane crashed in a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania. With the attacks on 9/11, President George W. Bush vowed to win the war against terrorism. A week after the attack, President Bush signed into law a joint resolution authorizing the use of force against those responsible for attacking the United States on September 11th. The joint resolution is called the Authorization for Use of Military Force Against Terrorists. This led to them invading Afghanistan and setting up the detention camp at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. On October 7, 2001, the War on Terror officially started. With help from the British, the United States began its bombing campaign against Taliban forces, officially launching Operation Enduring Freedom. The first ground attack arrived 12 days later, and most of the ground combat was between the Taliban and its Afghan opponents. After tracking bin Laden, the leader of al-Qaeda, to a cave complex southeast of Kabul, Afghan militias engaged in a fierce 2-week battle. The day before they captured all of bin Laden's men, he escaped. After 1.5 years of fighting in Afghanistan, the United States military went into the Iraq. The reason being to disarm Iraq of weapons of mass destruction, to end Saddam Hussein's support for terrorism, and to free the Iraqi people. After being in Iraq, the United States shifted its military back to Afghanistan. On May 1st, 2011, al-Qaeda leader bin Laden, responsible for the 9/11 attacks, was killed by the U.S. forces in Pakistan. The raid, which President Obama approved, was launched about 120 miles away in Afghanistan, where they rode Black Hawk helicopters to the compound. The raid took about 40 minutes. Another 10 years of fighting took place after he was killed until the United States officially pulled people out of Afghanistan. The withdrawal concluded on August 30th, 2021, when the last U.S. military aircraft left Afghanistan. The War on Terror lasted a total of 20 years.
Okay, veteran awards. So first we have the Silver Star, a military decoration awarded for gallantry and action against an enemy of the U.S. and for singular acts of valor, heroism over a brief period. Air Force pilots, combat system officers, and Navy Marine Corps, naval aviators, and flight officers are eligible for the Silver Star upon becoming an ace with 5 or more confirmed aerial kills. The Navy Cross. The Navy Cross is awarded to any U.S. Armed Forces member who exhibits extraordinary heroism in combat action against an enemy opposing foreign force or friendly foreign forces. The act must be performed in great danger and highly conspicuous among others. The award can be awarded for distinguished non-combat acts. The Purple Heart. The Purple Heart is awarded to a U.S. Armed Force members who have been wounded or killed while serving under competent authority after April 5, 1917. Examples include actions against enemies engaging with foreign forces, serving with friendly foreign forces, or as a result of acts of hostile foreign forces. The Medal of Honor. The Medal of Honor is the highest military decoration awarded to American soldiers, sailors, Marines, airmen, guardians, and Coast Guardsmen for their acts of valor. It is presented by the President of the United States and is often referred to as a Congressional Medal of Honor. There are 3 variants, one of the Army, one for the Navy, and one for the Air Force. The Medal of Honor is the oldest continuously issued combat decoration. The Distinguished Service Cross. The Distinguished Service Cross is the second highest military decoration for soldiers displaying extraordinary heroism in combat with an enemy force. It is equivalent to the Navy Cross, Air Force Cross, and Coast Guard Cross. The DSC was first awarded during World War I and has been bestowed for actions before that time, such as a Certificate of Merit for Gallantry. The end, and thank you, veterans. Here is a video to thank our veterans.
solemnly swear. Support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And to bear true faith. And allegiance to the same. That I will obey. The orders of. The President of the United States. And the orders of. Those officers. Appointed over me. According to regulations. And the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God.
We celebrate Veterans Day on the anniversary of the armistice that ended World War I. The armistice that began in the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month. The timing of this holiday is quite deliberate in terms of historical fact. But somehow it always seems quite fitting to me that this day comes deep in autumn, and the colors are muted and the days seem to invite contemplation. It is, in a way, an odd thing to honor those who died in defense of our country, in defense of us, in wars far away. The imagination plays a trick. We see these soldiers in our mind as old and wise, but most of them were boys when they died, and they gave up two lives, the one they were living and the one they would have lived. When they died, they gave up their chance to be husbands and fathers and grandfathers. They gave up their chance to be revered old men. They gave up everything for our country, for us. And all we can do is remember. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. In memory of those who gave the last full measure of devotion, may honor us to achieve lasting peace, gain strength. Let us make a vow to our dead. Let us show them by our actions that we understand what they died for. Strengthened by their courage, heartened by their value, and born to their memory. Let us continue to stand for the ideals for which they lived and died.